thank you so much for joining us. He is a #1 national Christian bestseller. He's also had his books on the New York Times bestseller list. You know, Air Force officer, professor of space and aeronautics and military science. He's also a pastor. We carry a lot of his books and videos and materials at Infowars.com. He's with us for the next 30, 40 minutes or so. Then I'm going to finish up on a bunch of news and video clips I haven't gotten to yet. I wanted to get Texe on short notice, and I appreciate him doing it, because we've covered how Tony Blair, according to major British newspapers, is possessed by the spirit of the light and falls on the ground every morning. And Sherry Blair, his wife, is a witch, and they go to Aztec rituals and different rituals, and Francois Mitterrand paid to have the 666 pieces of gold glass at the pyramid at the Louvre in Paris. And Texas has this big book. Well, he has two big books, Codex Magica, and then he has these mysterious monuments, big textbook size books that we carry that we've covered. In fact, grab me one of those. I forgot to do it. It's just filled with politicians and sports teams, owners and bankers, admittedly building occult palaces, admittedly being into the occult. Ronald Reagan into the occult, wouldn't make a decision unless his astrologer said, gave speeches to the minute according to astrology. Hillary Clinton doing seances with Mrs. Roosevelt, having shaman, Bohemian Grove in the occultism, Skull and Bones in the occultism. It just comes out, Obama and all these weird shaman charms in his pocket. And then it comes out, witchcraft in the White House, town hall, with sources and documents and books coming out about it. And then we have an article, Voodoo in the White House, that goes into more detail. We're about to go to break, but I wanted to go to Texe right now. Texe, I mean, everybody's freaking out about this, but isn't this par for the course?
Hey, Alex, great to be with you again. Yes, it is par for the course. Of course, during the Clinton White House, you mentioned Hillary Rodham Clinton, who went on top of the roof and actually invoked the spirits of the sky to come in to the White House. She was up there with a New Age shaman witch named Jean Houston, who was her guru. And, Hillary also spoke by her own admission to both the spirit of Mahatma Gandhi and to Eleanor Roosevelt. But now the Obamas, it's very hard to find direct connection with Barack. His wife has a little bit of this from her mother, but I'll tell you, I just finished a new video about Obama myself, and that'll be out September 1st, called Rothschild's Choice. And I was able to find some amazing things, and maybe when we come back, I'll be glad to reveal these African tribal religion, and then, about this group Code Pink, which is supposedly an anti-war group, but it turns out it's really a witchcraft, a Wicca group that's a big supporter of Obama. And in fact, they actually held a witchcraft ritual to, get this, Alex, to cleanse the White House of bad spirits and omens on the last day of George Bush in office. So, when you use witches to have a ritual to cleanse the White House, well, I wonder who they actually invited in to the White House. But that was Code Pink, a very interesting group that is known supposedly for being its anti-war activity, but in fact, it seems like they're being very quiet, almost mute about Obama's intensification of the war.
Texe Marr, stay with us. You're an expert in the occult and in these societies, one of the leading experts out there. In fact, he's in our film, Dark Secrets Inside Bohemian Grove. I made a new film called The Order of Death. They're both on the same DVD. And I'll tell you why I bring that up when we come back. This is Alex Jones. Have you heard of the Millionaire Patriot? Well, you should. He has a free handgun and 5 days of firearms training waiting for you. That's right.
You can attend 5 days of world-class gun training at Front Sight Firearms Training Institute and secure a 30-state concealed weapons permit, all for pennies on the dollar. Plus, if you act fast, the Millionaire Patriot will give you a free Springfield Armory XD pistol in the caliber of your choice. I believe now is the time that you and your family need to be armed and trained to levels that exceed law enforcement and military standards. Front Sight provides such training without any boot camp mentality or drill instructor attitudes. This is real. Don't miss out. Secure a Front Sight defensive handgun course, plus a 30-state concealed weapons permit for pennies on the dollar, and get your free handgun. Go to frontsight.com today. That's FRONTSIGHT.com. Go to frontsight.com for your training and free gun.
Texe Mars is our guest. The reason I brought up in the last segment, The Order of Death, the 45-minute film that's on the same DVD with the 2-hour film, Dark Secrets Inside Bohemian Grove, that Texe is in. A few years after I snuck into Bohemian Grove with Mike Hansen back in 2000, our camera guy, Ed Homan, was already out there visiting family in California. He drove up, and there was the Bohemian Grove Action Network, the local peace group, who had criticized me in the newspaper saying there's nothing occult at the Grove, there's no occultism, Alex is a kook, there is no, none of this is real. This was the group protesting the Grove. And it turned out they had a witch's cauldron out, were doing chants like Luke Skywalker, believe they were firing force beams in, going, oh, power beam, like a cartoon. And it's the same thing Texe was just talking about. You have this big anti-war group that supports Obama, but really it turns out it's a voodoo group. And that's what Santeria is a white magic variant of that. So going back to Texe Mars, the headline at Infowars.com, Voodoo in the White House. And it turns out Obama is very, very scared of this. But again, Obama shouldn't just be singled out. I'm sure they'll say voodoo is the new N-word. You're not allowed to criticize voodoo or you don't like Obama. But Texe, please continue.
Well, you mentioned this group, Code Pink. And what we have to understand about this group, this is a group that could possibly show up when folks like We Are Change, who are pretty good people, are out there and attempt to sort of play off of that. But let's look at the group, okay? First of all, I want people to understand that this is not some odd group in terms of the Obama White House, because in The Nation magazine, The Nation is one of the more liberal magazines. It's been on bookstores, Barnes and Noble and Borders, bookstore shelves for, years, decades and decades. So this is an old line, liberal, left-wing, Democrat Party publication. Now, Victor Navasky, who writes for The Nation, on January the 20th, actually reported the fact that on the, when Obama was to be inaugurated, he invited his top campaign people to the inaugural, and they actually went on a train. So it was a big deal, the campaign train. Now, Navasky reported that one of his seatmates was a member of this Code Pink, and they were talking about the planning for a rally to cleanse the White House for a Wiccan ritual by this Code Pink. Well, Alex, obviously, I was very interested in finding out who is this Code Pink that is such a powerful group that its leaders are asked to ride on the campaign train with Obama, and they're going to have this ritual to cleanse the White House. Well, I found three very interesting people who are the founders of it. The first one is the well-known witch, Miriam Starhawk. My wife Wanda wrote the book New Age Lies to Women that expose witchcraft in the Christian church even. Starhawk is one of the people that she exposed. This earth witchcraft Wicca activism. So Starhawk, and by the way, that's not her real name. She's actually a Jewish woman named Miriam Simos. These are three Zionist Jewish women. Now, this is what makes it interesting. They claim to be anti-war. They all are big backers of Obama, and they actually did such things as they would go and interrupt Sarah Palin's speeches They did that on a couple occasions. They once blocked traffic on Golden Gate Bridge in San Francisco. They did a demonstration in front of Fort Hood. That was the Austin, Texas chapter. And by the way, they put out a book, and they had some big names in the book. Amy Goodman, Janine Garofalo, Nancy Pelosi, Arianna Huffington. All of these people wrote in this Code Pink book, so you can see the power level of this group. Now, the other two members are a woman named Jody Evans. Evidently, she held this witchcraft ritual to cleanse the White House. She went down to El Salvador. All of these are communists, socialists. She went down to El Salvador to work with the Zapatistas. Her husband was a wealthy, although most of these women are lesbian. She went down. She had a wealthy billionaire husband. By the way, they're a big supporter of the LGBT, the lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender agenda. And they were very happy, I understand, yesterday because President Obama and Eric Holder, the Attorney General, came out against the Defense of Marriage Act. They want it repealed